I think he is totally fucked up everything. And those 250,000 people who have died, each of those families should sue him for wrongful death because it did not have to happen. It did not have to be as bad. I've lost 3 friends because of COVID. So I don't think that it should have gotten to the way it is. Um, when I was in the military, I had to deal with biological warfare and biological pandemics and things like that. And there was a whole playbook on how to handle this. And he fired everybody that could deal with it much better than he did. I think he made the country worse by constantly calling it what he did when he called it the China flu and stuff like that. That made relationships worse with other countries. When he refused to talk to people about wearing masks, that made it worse because that just empowered people to be as ignorant and as selfish as they are, especially on planes. Then with him he never handled racial issues because you can't handle a racial issue if you yourself are a racist. You can't handle that because you are about you are about your bloodline's superiority, and you came from a family of immigrants, and all but one of his wives was an immigrant, so I think he broke this country into two or more, but he also empowered those who had racial issues to just take off their hoods and show who you are. So it is a daily struggle to be Black in America and during COVID. That has been a challenge. It's the talk that every Black father, mother, whatever, has to have with their child all the time. I have teenagers. They think they're invincible to everything. So I've got to tell them when they go out, don't wear a hoodie. Don't put that on. Your job when you leave this house is to get back home. If a cop stops you, yes, sir, no, sir. Here's I'm constantly telling them, carry your ID with you. My kids think I'm crazy because we live in a small town. It's predominantly Black, but I know every cop in the area, and they all know my kids. I'm like, look, so if something happens, I tell them, they're like, Dad, why are you talking to the cops all the time? My friend's going to think. I'm like, I don't care what your friends think. My job is to make sure you come home. So if something happens and a cop sees you and they say, you know what, that's Chaplain Mike's son or daughter, you go sit in the back of my car. I'll take care of you. And that cop will bring you home, and then I can deal with it then. I'd rather him bring you home than me have to come to the jail and identify you, or the morgue to come identify you. And I tell them that this is why I introduce you to every cop I know, every detective I know, every state trooper I know, so they know your face. They know what kind of home you've come from, and they know, okay, we know this kid. We see these 5 knuckleheads over here. You know what? You go sit on the curb while we talk to them. And it's like, when they tell you that, just go shut up and sit down, don't say anything. Especially today, I worry every time my kids go out the door. If my son's like, Dad, I'm going to football practice, which is only around the corner from our house. Or Dad, I'm going to the barbershop. You know, I worry that whole time. I mean, I've gotten to a point where I have GPS trackers on each of their phones, and they don't know it, but I can just tap the screen. I can see, okay, Michael's 50 feet from home. Corinna's, around here. Okay, I know where they are. So it's hard being a parent today, especially a black parent, you know, and figuring things out, because the 90% of the time, if I'm with my kids and I'm wearing a baseball cap and I've got my glasses on or something, my kids' friends have said, "Is your dad black or white?" And they look at him like, "Why would you ask something stupid like that?" And I like, look, the only thing that matters is they don't care about what is inside you. The only thing they see is your skin first. And they assess how much of a threat you are at the time. I find myself more and more, if I see a cop stopped on the side of the road and I'm going, I slow down way before I see him. And I find myself watching my mirrors to see if that cop is pulling out. And I mean, the other day I was coming down the turnpike, and there was a state trooper. He was already pulled over on the side of the road, pulled somebody over. And I saw his lights and stuff 2 miles back. I slowed down, just hit the speed limit, just hit it. I was only going 5 miles over anyway, but I just hit the speed limit. And I passed him, and he looked, and I was like, I'm about to get pulled over. And sure enough, like 10 seconds later, his lights and siren came on because they had pulled out from the car that he'd already stopped. And I saw him, and I was like, you know what? I'm not giving him any reason to do anything or say anything to me. I hit my blinkers. I pulled over. Funny thing is, he kept going past me, and he looked over at, I looked, and he looked over at me like, what are you doing? And I was like, okay. It's like, wow, why did I just do that? In an ideal world, I would like to see that people, value a person based on what's inside them, not what's on the outside of them. In an ideal world, I'd like to see people being more kind to each other. I would like to see people following the Great Commission, which is love your neighbor as you love your God. That's what I would like to see. I would like to see people just have more hope and place their hope not in a person, but in something that's bigger than them. That's what I would like in the ideal world.